Welcome, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high and get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners. And settle down snugly at mile marker 420. I don't know if it's glitching out for you, but it's totally glitching out for me. But hopefully this works out. Today is Sunday, March 24th. Monday, March 25th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. If you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker. You can also find us at KPNL Radio, which you can find at KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com, as well as eTalk Radio, which you can find at eTalk.tv/radio. Our friend Jonathan Alexander is actually working on a channel for us, so we'll be live all over the world, basically. As far as our YouTube channel and other videos go, I need to talk to him again and get that worked out. If you like to watch, you can watch on Facebook under We Are Paradox Media, as well as Four Corners Paranormal Investigations. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, you can basically find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. So I'm going to check out this camera setting really quick and see what the heck is going on here. I don't get it. I know it's being super glitchy, and I'm not sure why. Hey, that looks better. There we go. I know, I guess it didn't like the low resolution, so we gotta do the high. Hey. How are you? Story time. So, this is the last chapter of this book. And then we're going to go to our Dreamtime book, which is an Aboriginal book from Australia. So, I'm super excited about that. So, Chapter 41. A week passed. 7 days of recovery, celebration, parting, revelation, confession, and denial. I slept for 12 hours following the incident at Mallow's house, awoke rejuvenated and harboring no grudge against my sister. Harry had survived her escape in the park. One Jimmy Choo leopard thong sandal had not. Go guano? Harry explained that she'd driven to see Flann O'Connor in Toronto. She wanted to surprise me with a scoop on Obeline and the poetry. Her big discovery was that O'Connor House had only operated from 1998 until 2003. Ironically, the information turned out to be merely cumulative to what we already knew about timeframes. Harry flew home to file for divorce and sell her house in River Oaks. Having enjoyed downtown living, she'd decided to search for a condo that would allow her to live car-free. I suspected her plan was unworkable in a town like Houston, but I kept that to myself. The feast of Saint John the Baptiste, La Fête Nationale de Quebec, came and went. City crews swept up, the fleur-de-lis flags came down, and Montreal's citizenry turned its attention to the annual rites of jazz. Through conversations with Ryan and Hippo, I learned many things. The man slumped by the tree was Malo, a thug named Serge Sardou. When Sardou challenged Bastaroc's charge up the driveway, Bastaroc shot him. The wound caused a lot of bleeding, but only minor muscle damage. Sardou started bartering as soon as the anesthesia wore off. Sorry, I think my pages are stuck together. They are. Dang it. Come on, man. Turned out Malele and Babine had been smitten with the Escalade, not with Harry and me. It was Sardou who threatened me by email and phone, and my personal favorite thrown me down the stairs. Malo had asked him to recover and contact the contact sheet of Evangeline, and to back me off. Sardou decided to double task at Cormier's studio. Bastaroc and Malo both went directly to Rustique from there to the Rustic jail. Bastarock claimed self-defense, saying Sardo had threatened him with the Winchester. A lawyer had him out on bail the next day. Based on statements from Sardo and Kelly Sicard, Malo was charged with 3 counts of homicide and a zillion counts of offenses involving kids. Unlike Bastarock, Plucky Pierre was going nowhere soon. Wednesday, June 27. I was in my lab at Wilford Jerome. 5 boxes lined the side counter, remains packed for release to next of kin. Reading my handwritten labels, I felt a bittersweet sense of accomplishment. Genevieve Doucette, Anne Girardine, Claire Verdot, and Maud Waters. Ellis JML-57748. Cause of death would never be determined for Genevieve Doucette, no matter. Poor Theodore was beyond understanding or blaming. Maître Asseline would be collecting her great-niece's bones. There would be no justice for little Anne Girardine. Ryan's MP, number 3. Daddy had died of a self-inflicted bullet to the brain, but Adelaide had been located and could now bury her daughter. From age 17 to 19, Claire Bordeaux had starred in dozens of Peter's Bad productions. Pierre Malo, Peter Bad, pure poetry. We guessed right about Cormier. The photographer had funneled girls to Malo in exchange for a few bucks and a steady supply of pedophile smut. Kelly Sicard had been one. Claire Bordeaux had been another. There would be no more. Fearing Cormier might roll to save himself, Malo had killed him. According to Sardo, in 1999, Malo strangled Bordeaux in a rage for lifting money from a nightstand in the house on Rostit. Ordered to dispose of the body, he'd offloaded Bordeaux from a buddy's boat into the Rivière des Mille Isles, or des Mille Isles. She became Ryan's DOA number 1. Ryan's DOA number 3, the Lac des Deux Montagnes floater, was identified as 16-year-old Maud Waters. The previous year, Maud had left her home on the Kanawak Mohawk Reserve, hoping to make her way to Hollywood and a star on the Walk of Fame. Instead, she ended up with Malo doing porn. Malo is claiming Maud OD'd while living in his house. Sardo's version had Malo strangling Maud because she threatened to leave. As with Bordeaux 8 years earlier, Sardo was ordered to dump the corpse. Feeling invincible, the loyal employee simply drove a few blocks and tossed Maud from the Bois de L'Isle Bizarre boat ramp. LSJML-57748. Hippo's Girl. For now, the Sheldrake Island skeleton would lie under an anonymous iron cross in the Leper Cemetery in Tracadie, but I was working with an Acadian historian. With luck and hard work, we hoped to learn who she was. The lab in Virginia had sequenced DNA from her bones. Perhaps someday we might even find a relative. The lab door opened, breaking my reverie. Hippo entered, carrying coffee in a bag of St. Vitar bagels. As we spread cream cheese with little plastic knives, I considered what I'd learned of the saga of Evangeline. I'd been right. Lorette Landry had worked at Lazaretto and had lost her job upon its closing in 1965. Years later, she developed leprosy, so great was the family's distrust of government. Lorette was hidden away with Grandpère Landry, and at 14, Evangeline became the family's primary breadwinner and nurse. While Lorette was alive, Evangeline lived at home and worked days for her father David, or David's father, Hilaire Bastrac. Upon her mother's death, she assumed the position of resident housekeeper. At that time, Pierre Malo, Hilaire's illegitimate son, geez, oh Pete, say that fast 3 times, was also living in Bastrac's house. Malo pressed Evangeline into posing for him, threatening her with the loss of her job. David Bastrac had fallen in love with Evangeline. Appalled by his half-brother's activities, he vowed to sack and boot Malo as soon as control fell to him. as Hillier had told him it would. Though I'd gained some insight into Bastarak's character, the man still mystified me. Man, you guys, I'm so sorry about, the way this live is coming out. I'm going to check my settings really quick again. Yeah, I just don't get it. Oh, yep. I don't know. Thanks, Century Steve. Really appreciate it. Now, we did get some, what do they call it? Something cable, fiber optic cable. So we should be getting some really good internet soon. Anywho, let's get back to where we were. Explain it to me, Hippo. How could such thinking exist today? Hippo chewed as he gave my question thought. Every Acadian kid grows up on tales of ancestors being hunted down and deported. The Grand Arrangement still haunts us as a people. And it's not just ancient history. Acadians see their culture as constantly threatened by a hostile, Anglo-dominated world. I let him go on. How do you keep alive your customers and language while your kids are watching Seinfeld and listening to the Stones, while their city cousins can barely parler a few words of French? See, these last couple pages are kind of sticking together, like some good pages of Playboy magazine. I took the questions as rhetorical and didn't answer. We Acadians have learned to hold on to our identity no matter what life throws at us. How? Partly through sheer obstinacy? Obstinacy? Yeah, I think that's the way to pronounce it. Partly by making everything larger than life. Our music, our food, our festivals, even our fears. But it's not the 1800s, I said, or even the 1960s. How can Bastarak distrust hospitals and government that much? Bastarak is Acadian by nature. He also operates businesses that run close to the line. Top of all that, he's got personal baggage. Vile father, deviant brother, mother shot, homeschooled. Hippo shrugged. The guy seems to be genuinely love your pal. Didn't want her harmed. Did what he thought was best to protect her. Malo had been right about one thing. Ovaline and Bastarak were living in the Dark Ages with regard to their attitude toward Evangeline's disease. Like the nursing nuns of a century before, Ovaline had sacrificed for leprosy, committing to a loveless marriage in order to care for her sister. Bastarak had been complicit in hiding Evangeline away. Ovaline lied about seeing Evangeline's murder, I said. To throw me off, she also let everyone believe that Bastarak was responsible for the broken arm and the fire. He wasn't. He wasn't? Hippo was thumbnailing something from a molar. Just get a toothpick, dude. Gross. Anywho's, yeah, get that finger out of your mouth. I shook my head. Because of leprosy, Evangeline had little feeling in her hands and feet. Ovaline cracked her ulna attempting to stop Evangeline from falling down the stairs. It was also Evangeline who accidentally set the house on fire. She also lied about the poetry book. Ovaline had it published as a birthday gift for Evangeline, anonymously since no one was to know her sister was alive. Having achieved success with the molar, Hippo was cream cheesing a second bagel. And I continued to talk. The great tragedy is that Evangeline could have led a relatively normal life. Multi-drug therapies are readily available to patients, usually that show improvement in 2 to 3 months. Fewer than 0.1% of those treated felt to be cured. There's still much leprosy around? I'd done some research on that. The global registered prevalence of leprosy at the beginning of 2006 was almost 220,000 cases. Man. And it's not just Africa and Southeast Asia. 32,000 of those cases are right here in the Americas. Over 6,000 in the United States. 200 to 250 new cases are diagnosed each year. I'll be damned. Bostock and Ovaline did for Evangeline exactly what had been done for her mother, never realizing the enormity of the mistake. One thing I don't get. Bostock hated Mallow. Why stash her with him? Makes you wonder, don't it? Yeah, I hope it's not glitching out for you like it is for me, because I look like I'm in one of those, 9mm shutter films on this side, but... Anywho's. Evangeline had only been at Mallow's house a short time. When Harry and I dropped in on Oberlin, Bostock freaked. Figured if we found the house in Tracadie, there was a possibility we could also find the one in Isle d'Orleans. When Ryan and I actually did show up there, he panicked and raced back to move her again. My eyes drifted to the row of neatly labeled boxes. Genevieve Doucette, left to mummify in her bed by a poor deranged Theodore, and Gerardine, killed by her father. So sad. I thought of others. Ryan's MP number 2, Claudine Cloquet, sold to Malo by her father. Evangeline, locked away by her would-be husband and her sister, though undoubtedly with her own consent. You know, Hippo, the boogeyman's not always hanging out in the schoolyard or at the bus depot. He could be the guy in your parlor, hogging the remote. Hippo stared at me. Man, I wish I could reset this, because this is kind of irritating me. But anyways, alright, where were we? Hippo stared at me as though I'd spoken Swahili. Well, that would be interesting. Someone right there in your own family. That's often where the threat is. Yeah? Hippo said softly. My eyes settled on the name, now attached to the girl from Lac des Deux Montagnes. Maud Waters. Maud had also had movie star dreams, was dead at 16. My thoughts veered to Malo. He'd claimed no knowledge of Phoebe Quincy. Again, his employee had told a different tale. Sardou stated that he'd seen Phoebe at the house in Rustique, but only briefly. Phoebe remained missing. Ryan's DOA number 2, the girl from Dorval Shoreline, remained unidentified. Symbolic, I thought, of the many children who are murdered each year, or those who simply vanish, never to be found. Back to the streets, Hippo said, pushing to his feet. It's the last page. And still I want to mess with this freaking camera. Like, something's got to give. Something's got to give. Seriously, could you quit glitching, StreamYard? I'd really appreciate it. Still glitching. 9mm flick. Anyways, last page. Then we're on to our Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. Super excited. I rose too. You did a crack job on these cases, Hippo. Got 2 more to close. Do you think Phoebe Quincy has been piped into some underground photography pipeline? I prefer to think that she's alive, but one way or another, I won't quit looking until I know. Every day I'll come to work, and every day I'll keep searching for these kids. I managed to smile. I bet you will, Hippo. I bet you will. Hippo's eyes bored into mine. Sooner or later, I will have answers. Friday morning, I boarded a flight to Montam, rented a car, and drove to Tracadie. This time, Bostock answered the door. How is she? I asked. Bostock did a so-so, or if you're speaking French, it's comme ci, comme ça. Yeah, with a waggle of his hand. Is she taking her meds? Obeline's really not giving her a choice. Bostock led me to the room at the back of the house, excused himself, and withdrew. I thought about him as he walked away. Strip clubs, cat houses, and adultery, but the guy drew the line at child pornography. I loved Evangeline. Go figure, human nature, who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Evangeline sat in an armchair gazing at the water. Crossing to her, I wrapped my arms around her shoulders and drew her close. She resisted at first, then relaxed against me. I held my good old friend, as tight as I dared, for as long as I dared. Then I released her and looked into her eyes. Evangeline, do not speak, Tim. Do not speak. There's no need. We have met. We have touched. We have read my poems. It is enough. Don't despair for me. We are all creatures of God, and I am at peace. You have given me a great gift, my dear, dear friend. You have reopened my childhood. Sit with me a while and then return to your life. I will keep you always in my heart. Smiling, I drew graham crackers, peanut butter, and a plastic knife from my purse and laid them on the table. Added 2 Cokes in 6-ounce bottles, then I drew a chair close. You can't really visit Green Gables, I said. Isn't that crazy? Like, she thought her friend was dead, but come to find out, she was just hidden away. Could you imagine, like, being a child and writing your friend, and then your friend doesn't write back, and then having these bones sent to your lab and thinking, like, that is possibly your friend that went missing years ago? I don't know. I know, but that was a good ending. I want more books like this. So yeah, now it's time for Dreamtime. Sorry, I guess I'm moving a bit too fast for this camera. I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't look like this to you guys. And there's no way really for me to reset it at this point, so. Okay, so this is our new book. From the Dreamtime. Australian Aboriginal Legends. So on the back it says, for the Aboriginal people of Australia. The Dreamtime is the beginning of the world, but it is also yesterday, today, and forever. From the Dreamtime comes a rich and wonderful lore, which tells of creation of earth, sun, moon, and stars, why the animals look the way they do, how the great ancestor spirits loved and looked after their people. This collection of legends from different areas of Australia reflects the vivid imagination, strong sense of drama, and above all, the intimate understanding of nature that is characteristic of Aboriginal people of Australia. So about the author. So Jean Ellis has chosen stories which will appeal to readers interested in traditional myths and legends, readers who want an insight into the surviving traditions of Australian Aboriginal peoples, and to readers who want fresh and lively stories to tell their children. Like, I was super stoked about this because I do have Australian friends, and Aboriginal people have always, like, made me curious. They're so much different than, like, dare I say, African people. I don't know, pretty interesting, really. They are so different, though. Like, they're on this little continent all by themselves. It's actually quite big, but it seems little when you look at it from here, right? Yeah, I'm sorry whoever is watching me on YouTube. I hope it's not glitching out for you like it is for me. So Jean Ellis grew up in a small town in western New South Wales, where she made friends with Aboriginal people living in the area. She and her brother gathered Aboriginal artifacts from local farms, set up a small museum at Yugalra, and published a history of the Australian Aborigines. Over many years of contact with Aboriginal people, Jean Ellis has encouraged them to pass on their traditional legends. Many stories in this book are unique to her collection, and she has authenticated the sources. Some legends are known throughout Australia and appear in other collections. Who cares? What? Okay. Ellis's stories have been edited by Eileen Kelly, a poet and teacher of creative writing in Melbourne, Victoria. The Aboriginal artist, Biggie Billa, is also from New South Wales. Through his drawings, paintings, and carvings, he is working to restore the true heritage of his people. the Gamari. Or is it Gamori? I'm not quite sure. I just have to respond really quick because that was funny, Travis. Sorry. Aw, that's cute. Little black kitty hugging the book. Anyways, I just had to respond to that. Yeah, let's continue. So our contents, there's several different titles for these different stories. To the Aboriginal people of Australia to whom these legends belong. Many people have collaborated in the making of this book, and the author and publisher wish to express their thanks to the Aboriginal people whose legends are here retold, the artist Vicky Billa, whose drawings do so much to enhance the stories, the poet Eileen Kelly, who edited the legends, Annabelle Carpenter, the daughter of the late Agnes Carpenter, who gave permission for the use of the painting Purikikini? Yeah, which appears on the cover. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that at first. That's pretty cool. It's funny how the owl pops up, like, in cool places, and then also in some strange places. The Dreamtime is the name given to that mystical period of time, back beyond human reckoning, when the land was first created and the Aboriginal people of what is now Australia began establishing their independence and their individuality. Legends from the Dreamtime tell of this creation. They give reasons for the distinctive geographic formations of different areas, the peculiar habits of some Australian animals, and the changing climatic conditions. Dreamtime lore explains the mysterious sky world and the age-old complexities of human nature, as well as the joys and the problems of people living together. Each Aboriginal group had its own set of legends, which linked those people to their individual totems and their own area. However, there are many obvious links and similarities from one group to another. Overall, it is a vast, fascinating, and complex collection, but stories presented here are a small part of the whole. They have been gathered from different areas right across Australia. I have chosen and adapted these stories to suit the needs of this book. They belong, as they always have belonged, to the Aboriginal peoples, and that was written by Miss Jean Ellis. Why kangaroos have a pouch? Seriously, like, this is really bugging me. Stop cam, turn it back on. Is it working better now? Nope. I still look like a kung fu movie. Anyways. Why kangaroos have a pouch? In traditional times, the Wiradjuri people lived in the area now known as Central New South Wales. They called their god Bayami. They looked on him as a loving father. It was his care for all he had created that explained many aspects of the world they saw around them. The kangaroo mother was very worried. Her young Joey was always getting lost. She had to watch him all the time. One day, while she was in the bush, carefully watching her Joey as usual, an old wombat wobbled weakly towards her. Oh, I'm old and I'm useless. No good to myself or anyone else. She heard him mumbling as he came near. Poor thing, she thought. He looks really miserable. Come on now, cheer up, she said brightly. But even in the oldest time, no one cheered up just because they were told to. Cheer up, said the wombat. How can I, when I'm blind and can't find fresh grass to eat? Nobody cares about me. Nobody bothers to be kind or helpful. I haven't got a friend in the whole world. The kangaroo felt really sorry for him. I'll be your friend, she said. I'll lead you to some fresh grass, and some cool water, too. She showed him how to take hold of her tail and in this way was able to lead him very carefully to the water. He drank deeply of the cold running water, and then held her tail again as she hopped off slowly towards a patch of fresh green grass she had seen nearby. He was so weak that he had lost hold of her tail several times, confused by his blindness, but she stopped and helped him hold again. "Hey, Anthony, good to see ya. Hope you're doing good." Anxiously, she started searching for him, and this time was lucky. After only a few minutes, she found him fast asleep in the shade of a gum tree. "He looks quite comfortable and safe," she thought. "I won't disturb him." And she left him there while she hurried back to see if the blind wombat was still enjoying his feast. Suddenly she stopped. Her heart started thumping wildly. An Aboriginal hunter was stalking the defenseless wombat. The hunter was holding his spear high, ready to attack. Closer and closer he crept to the kangaroo, or as the kangaroo watched in horror for a moment. Then fear gave way to determination to save the old fellow. She started jumping about wildly, crackling fallen twigs and thumping the ground until she had attracted the hunter's attention. If he chased after her, the wombat, alerted by the noise, would have time to hide. Just as she planned, as soon as the hunter's sharp eye saw a kangaroo, he forgot the wombat. Off she hopped, full speed, into the bush, her heart beating wildly, for she knew she would be killed if she could not keep out of reach. She dodged in and out among the trees and bushes, but the hunter was quick and agile and followed closely. After a long chase, she came upon a secluded cave. Trembling with fear and exhaustion, she hurried inside, and the hunter ran past without noticing the cave. For a while she stayed there, too afraid to move, but at last she saw the hunter walking dejectively back to camp. He had given up the chase. As soon as he was out of sight, the kangaroo hurried back, frightened for her baby. Quite safe, he had just woken up and was very pleased to see her. Together they hopped, very slowly because the joey was only small, back to the good patch of grass. The kangaroo wanted to see the wombat to make sure that he was all right and to tell him about the hunter, so she was disappointed to find that the old fella had gone. "I hope he'll be all right," she said to her joey. "I did feel so sorry for him." What she didn't know was that the old blind wombat wasn't a wombat at all. By-me, the great father of all, had come down from the sky world and pretended to be helpless, so that he could discover which was the kindest of all his creatures. Back in the sky world, he was smiling. He was smiling because he had certainly found the kindest animal of all. He decided to reward the kangaroo, and he knew exactly what gift she would most likely appreciate. He called one of its spirit friends and told him, "Go down to the world. Go make a dilly bag apron from the string of bark, and when you have finished it, give it to the kangaroo mother. Tell her the whole story and explain that she must tie the dilly bag around her waist." When the spirit friend had done all this, and the kangaroo tied on the dilly bag, Bia-me magically made it grow to her body. How happy she was when she realized she had a pouch into which she could put her joey so that he was safe. He could sleep snugly in it or peep out at the world as his mother hopped along. However, Bia-me was right. This kangaroo was the kindest of all. She worried that the other kangaroo mothers were not as lucky as she was. She worried too about her cousins and the wallabies, the little kangaroo rats, and all the rest. Bia-me, the great god in the sky world, was so touched by her concern for all his creatures that he sent a message saying he had decided to make pouches grow on the bodies of all the gentle mothers of the marsupial family. There was much joy in the kangaroo world, grateful that Bia-me, the father of all, cared for them so kindly. That's such a cute story. Nice to see you, Jade. Thanks for listening. So, the second chapter is called The First Brolga. Brolgas, which are found on the northern plains of Australia, are elegant silver-gray birds almost as tall as humans. They dance beautifully on their long legs, leaping, stepping high, and bowing to each other. There is an Aboriginal legend from that area which tells us how this bird came to be and how it got its name. In the long ago Dreamtime, there was a pretty, very graceful girl called Brolga. She belonged to a group who made camp in the southern plains. It was usual then, in this group and most others, for the men to do most of the dancing while the women watched and clapped the beat. Brolga was different. She could not sit and watch. She had to dance, and her dancing was wonderful. Not only did she perform the Korobori dances very well, but she was forever creating new dances. The men and women of her group loved to watch her, and they talked about her dancing. Her fame spread, and people from other groups came to watch her as well. There were many men who wanted to marry Brolga for her beauty and her brilliance, but Brolga did not wish to marry anyone. "I want to be free," she said, "free to dance in the morning light, and free to dance under the stars at night. I must be free to dance, and dance, and dance. I can never marry." The men she refused were disappointed, but just as they were drawn to her unusual talent, they also understood how important it was to her, and so they left her alone to dance as she wished. They all left her alone, that is, except one. He was a mean man who had caused a lot of trouble in the camp, and he had learned evil magic. Everyone else in the group was afraid of him, and they warned Brolga to be careful. "He may try to harm you," they whispered, "so stay close to camp, where we can guard you." Brolga listened and promised, and for a time she was very careful. But one spring morning, when the sun shone warmly and the wild flowers nodded in the breeze, Brolga forgot her caution and let the dance lead her far, far away from camp. The world was so beautiful that she wanted to see it all. As the hours passed, she danced on, getting further and further away from camp. Suddenly, there was a fierce whirlwind in the sky. It howled as it savagely beat against the girl, and the earth trembled where she stood. The evil man had created this whirlwind by magic, and he was there in the center of it. "If you will not marry me, you shall not marry anyone," he screamed. Brolga recognized him immediately and stood still and silent, trying desperately to think of a way to escape. And then in a flash, everything changed. The whirlwind disappeared, and Brolga found that she was no longer a beautiful young girl. Instead of arms, she had long, light-boned wings with silvery feathers, and her body was draped in gray softness. For a moment, she felt desperately sad, but immediately, to her delight, she discovered that even as a bird, she could still dance. Discovering at every moment more of the powers and elegance of her new body, she danced and danced across the plains until night came. The people in camp, who were her special friends, had been very worried, and early in the morning they came to look for her. Brolga saw them coming and hurried to meet them. They stopped and stared as this tall bird, quite strange to them, came near and began to dance. Entranced by its grace, they watched, and as the feet stepped and leapt, and the wings waved and flapped, they were each reminded of their Brolga. Suddenly they guessed what had happened. "Brolga!" they called. "Brolga, is that you?" And Brolga nodded and danced even more exotically. Then they knew it really was their Brolga. They begged her to return to camp with them, and she came. The people continued to call her by her name, and they watched over her and protected her from further harm. Throughout her long life, she charmed everyone with her gentle ways and dreamlike dancing. Brolga birds still live to perform their beautiful dances, and the people who watch them still admire and protect them. That's a pretty cool story. The story of two hunters. In the traditional period of Aboriginal history, the hunters often left the plains where they lived to go hunting in the steep and dangerous mountain areas. There is a legend from the Dreamtime which tells us about two young brothers who once went up into the northern Flinders ranges of South Australia. The people of the group needed meat. Two brothers who were clever hunters went up into the mountains, determined to bring back a large supply. Soon after they had begun the climb, they spotted an emu hiding among the boulders. Not Nemu emu, is it? They quickly caught and killed the bird and carried it to them as they continued on their way. By midday, however, the emu was covered in flies. Ew! The brothers tried hard to drive away the greedy insects, but whatever they did, the flies kept returning, and as time went by, more and more came. The hunters became very worried that the precious meat would go spoiled. Eventually, they decided to light a small fire, hoping that the flames and smoke would drive the flies away. But after a while the strong wind blew it up and fanned the fire so that it quickly began to spread. So the dry grass all around the area was well alight. In a short time, the whole side of the mountain was on fire, and the two young men found that they were trapped. There was no way that they could get back down onto the plains. They scrambled onto a rocky ledge and watched in horror as the fire became stronger and more widespread by the minute. The leaping flames were coming closer and closer to them. The two brothers were frantic. They could barely breathe because of the smoke. With a great effort, they climbed even higher up the steep cliff. Now they had reached the topmost tip. Even there, they were not safe. The fire reached up and touched them. Flames burned their skin. They had nowhere to go. It was impossible to climb down. There was nothing they could do. In pain and desperation, they both began to scream, and suddenly they found that they could fly. High above the flames and smoke they rose, higher and higher still into the distant world of the sky. Their ancestor spirits, who had been watching, had given them the power of flight so that they could escape. When at last the two brothers realized that they were safe, they relaxed and made camp in the sky world. There they remained forever. At night their campfires can still be seen. They call them the Pointers, the two brightest stars of the Southern Cross. However, that is not the end of the story. Their little mother, Aldanami, had waited anxiously for her sons on that day as she always did when they went hunting. When the people in her group came and told her about the terrible fire on the mountain, she began to run wildly around the camp, tears streaming down her face, calling loudly to her sons. She believed that if she called loud enough and long enough, her sons would surely hear and answer. Kind spirits, moved by her distress and her persistence, changed her into a small bird, the kind we now know as a curlew. The spirits hoped that as a bird she would find peace, but she continued to run about desperately calling for her lost sons. Today the curlew can still be heard in many parts of Australia. Its mournful cries echo across the plains in the quiet of the night. Those who hear it look up at the two bright stars and feel sad for the little mother's grief. Hi Julia, good to see you. How was your trip? I love those pictures of your daughter. She looks so gorgeous on the beach. I hope you guys had fun. The strange Waratah? I hope I'm saying that correctly. The Waratah is a deep red, showy flower completely different from any other. It blooms in the mountain of the bush areas of eastern Australia. Now protected by law from destruction, it is the emblem flower of New South Wales. The legend explaining its distinctive form comes from the Aboriginal people who lived in traditional times and in the area now called the Blue Mountains.
Hi, sir.
All right, there you go, sir.
Love you.
Love you, boy.
Lily will be coming over.
During the Dreamtime, the best of all hunters was Wamali. He could track any animal, even in difficult conditions, and he was quick and accurate with his spear. Almost unaided, he could supply his people with emus, kangaroos, possums, and the smaller animals they liked to feast on. Strangely, although he was such a fine hunter, his own favorite food was not meat, but the honey-sweet syrup of the warta flowers. At this time, the warta was a plain-looking flower like a daisy, but all summer it produced its rich, plentiful syrup. Whenever he was not occupied with his hunting, you could find Wamala or Wamali among the wartas, sharing the syrup with the busy insects. For a time, life flowed smoothly for Wamali and his well-fed people, but all good times have an end. One day, while the men were out hunting, a fierce storm blew up. The thunder crashed about them and the lightning flashed its vivid zigzags. Quickly, they all ran to shelter. To the horror of the others, Wamali was struck by a bolt of lightning. He fell to the ground unconscious. They had pulled him to shelter, but could do nothing for him. After a while, he recovered consciousness, and they realized he was blind. What can a blind hunter do? He cannot track animals. He cannot aim a spear at them. No longer was Wamali the greatest hunter. As soon as he was well enough, he thought, "The sweetness of the warta still calls to me." But when he went out to find it, he realized it was not so easy. His searching hands found flowers which felt like the warta, but often he was mistaken. Some of the flowers he tried tasted bitter. Some were even poisonous and made him ill. What was he to do? It seemed that there was no good left in life for him. His wife worried about the situation for many days. At least she decided to go out and search for the little tiny spirits, the quinnies, who were said to live in the bush in that area. Although she had never yet seen them, she had heard the elders say that they were sometimes helpful to humans. Perhaps she could persuade them to use their powers to help her husband. Wamali's wife went out alone into the bush and searched everywhere for the tiny spirits. All day she searched, hardly stopping for a rest. She called and called to them, but there was no answer. At nightfall, when she was almost in despair, she came at last upon a group of them. The tiny spirits welcomed her so warmly that she did not hesitate to tell them of Wamali's sadness. She told the story well, and they quickly decided to help. "Let's make the stalk of the warath, or the warata, grow enormous heights," said one. "And change the shape of the flower," said the other. "Then Wamali and all other blind men will easily be able to tell it from all the other flowers." Wamali's wife thanked them over and over, and then excitedly hurried back to camp. The good little quinnies kept their promise. People throughout the land were amazed to find the next day that overnight the appearance of every warta flower had changed. At daybreak, Wamali's wife led her husband out to discover the miracle for himself. In delight, he realized that he would never again mistake another flower for a warta. He never forgot to be grateful to his wife and to the helpful quinnies. To this day, the warta continues to blossom in the Australian bush in the same distinctive form created by the Blue Mountain quinnies. I wonder if they're cute like little fairies. How swans became black. Many of the Dreamtime legends show the male as dominant, strong young men as protectors and hunters, wise old men as leaders and decision-makers. Women, though treated with respect, generally appear in supportive but less influential roles. There are several legends, however, which show a different picture. This one comes from the traditional folklore of Western Australia. The Wabalu women lived independently of men and considered themselves in every way superior to men. One reason was that they had boomerangs, which at this time no one else in the world knew how to make. The men of the neighboring camps were angry about this. They could see the boomerangs were very useful weapons, and they wanted them. Many times they planned to attack the Wabalu women and take the boomerangs by force, but each time, when it came to the point, they were afraid to try. They were afraid because the Wabalu women had magic power. With their secret sacred chants, they could bring death and destruction to anyone who threatened them. At last, 2 men thought of a plan to overcome this power. They went to a man of their group who had contact with magic spirits and asked him to change them into swans. He was surprised, not understanding their plan, but called on the spirits as they had asked him. In an instant, they had become 2 beautiful white swans. Once they had become accustomed to their new form, they began explaining their plan to the other men in their group. They would fly into the Wibaloo camp, and the women would be surprised that they would leave the boomerangs unguarded as they came to admire the swans. This would be the opportunity for the other men to rush in and steal the boomerangs. The men listened carefully and agreed that it was a good plan. When the time came, they all did their part, and the plan worked beautifully. The men were able to steal the unguarded boomerangs and carry them back to their camp. When the Wibaloo women saw how they had been tricked, they were very angry. The 2 white swans feared for their lives and quickly flew far away to a peaceful, lily-covered lagoon. Here they felt safe. Pleased with their success, they laughed loudly and boasted to each other about how clever and brave they had been. They were not really safe, however, but in terrible danger. A group of eagles who claimed to own the lagoon suddenly swooped down on the intruders, cruelly biting and tearing at the swans who had no way of defending themselves. All their beautiful white feathers were torn out. The eagles picked up the defeated swans and dropped them, bleeding and close to death, in a nearby desert. The swans would surely have died in this desolate place, except for a flock of black crows, who happened to come flying by. They saw the battered, bleeding swans and decided to help them. First, they brought food and water. Then they carefully plucked feathers from their own black bodies and tenderly clothed the distressed, shivering swans. "Our feathers will keep you warm until you grow your own again," they told them. The crows continued to care for the grateful swans until they had completely recovered. This was strange, because the crows had never before been known to show kindness to any creature. Their ancestor spirits were so surprised and pleased with this change that they decided that it should never be forgotten. They decreed that all swans in that area would forever after grow black feathers like those of their protectors, the crows. Back at their camp, the Wibaloo women became even more angry when they realized that the 2 swans had managed to escape. They began to blame each other. The quarreling quickly developed into fighting. After some hours, the camp was red with blood, and many of the women were near death. The guardian spirits who were watching could stand the fighting no longer. Suddenly, all the Wibaloo women found themselves lifted up and taken far into the distant sky. As they were carried up, their blood stained the clouds, and the sunset sky blazed with red. Not one of the women was ever seen on Earth again. The swans of Western Australia do indeed have black feathers to this day, except for a tip of the old white around their wing sections. Their beaks are red, as a reminder of all the blood that was passed by their ancestors. This story has been passed down through the generations and is still well known in that part of Australia. Sometimes in the evening, when the sky is brilliant with red, people look up and say with a smile, "Look at the blood in the skies. Those Wibaloo women must be fighting again." You'd think they would know better by now. You would think. Alright, so on that note, boys and girls, we are going to go to our first music break. So on this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California, and he's going to be singing Finger Being Your Day, which, is talking about giving the middle finger. It's kind of like a California howdy. And I think Julia just came back from California, if I'm not mistaken. Or that could have been a Texas beach. I'm not sure. And then there's Consensual Sex Fan, Cock That Hills, Silicone Wave, and Molitude. You guys don't go anywhere. I'll be right back after this music break.
When your life is a never-ending train wreck and When you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with the boot of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart's desire, and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world goes completely insane, open your heart, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, I'll finger bang my day. That's right. You gotta make the choice to give it all you've got, and make your day long with pleasure, really make it hot. Because your day deserves a lover that pulls out the stops. Come on, it's not so hard. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world blows up in our face, what else could we do but stand up and sing? I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, finger bang my day.
Hey, what are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go, and we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day. Giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity.
Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world is fucking insane, we open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day.
Just get in the van.
Desperate and pathetic, nothing but a coward. You're a fool with nothing to offer. No one will ever believe you. They see you for what you are. You're just a fraud, a shell of a person. And now the power of the spirit of penetrate the demon. They love you. They enslave you into the dungeon of the hate. I am the son of
I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment of my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitches always nagging. Now I got the air, I send the bitches packing. Going my way, I have a new attraction. Don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make
make us a tape and show everyone the way, cause I'm going my own way, riding up Silicon Way. I wanna see on the game with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. Just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to play. She don't need expensive date nights, never talks back, I'm always right. Stuff it in her face with all my might. She don't even care, we don't ever fight. She never cries when I'm testing the suspension. We blow it up like it's fucking Armageddon. We make the videos because this is perfection. Look at this erection, I don't need protection, cause I'm going my own way, riding up Silicon Way. I wanna see on the game with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. Just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. She's my new real dog, and it's time to play.
The woman of my dreams.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Fais-moi l'amour.
Je suis amoureux.
Je pense toujours à
Enchanté,
tous les gens.
ma chérie. Mon potatoes nasty. Is it touchy a little nipple?
Tous les gens. Fais-moi l'amour.
It's like living on a super yacht, making love to a robot. It's like owning a football team, but having sex with the robot. It's like winning an Oscar and Emmy and Grammy when you're fucking a robot. It's like saving a family with a newborn from a fire, but you're fucking a robot. I'm going my own way, riding up Silicon Way. I wanna see on the game with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. Just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to
I got all the moves, got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bagged up snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your mama till 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history. How can I maneuver you with that pussy, dude? You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point. She shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that.
Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. You're like the butt of a butter knife cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be boxed. So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna bite my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too.
next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my mullet makes your hoes pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got mullet moves, I got that mullet too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that, check these mullet moves. You need a mullet too. Never gonna cut it. I got mullet moves, I got that mullet too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that, check these mullet moves. You need a mullet too. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Drip, drip,
Mullet moves.
drip,
Bitch. Mullet moves.
drip, drip.
Mullet moves. Never gonna cut it.
What the crack? It's not letting me come back. I don't know why. Let me check my camera really quick. What the crack? Come on, man. Oh, it's buffering. Anyways, I was gonna say, so my gal Tassie, that's who I caretake for. I was just telling her this last week that when I was a kid, after my mom had passed and my dad left us at our grandparents', my aunt came to get us from the farm there in Arkansas. And I really wanted my ears pierced. And my mom was like, you can get your ears pierced, but you gotta cut your hair the way I want it. So she was my aunt, but she was my mom, and she adopted me a few years ago. But that to me was freaking hilarious. You know, mullets are people too. Don't judge people by their freaking haircuts, but I don't know. Joe Dirt or Dirte. I don't know. I don't know why this camera isn't working. I'm trying to get it to work, guys. I'm sorry. Anywho's, well, I guess we'll have to wait till next hour or something for this to work. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'll keep pressing the start cam button, but it ain't working, so you're just gonna have to look at my pic while I read these Aboriginal stories. So the next story is called The Drought Maker Koala. Throughout Australia, the traditional Aboriginal people treated the koala with respect, and in some areas, it was completely taboo, and so was never hunted or harmed. The Aboriginal people of southeastern Australia have a legend to explain this. I don't know, but I gotta say, they're freaking cute. And I bet their, breath smells really good because those eucalyptus trees smell a bit minty. Once there was a little orphan boy called Rabor. Aboriginal people have traditionally been very loving and protective to all the children in their group. But the relatives of poor little Kabor did not respect this tradition. He was badly neglected and often did not have enough to eat or drink. There was a time, a very serious drought, and the law of the group decreed that the little water available must be shared equally. But little Kabor was made to give up his share to his relatives. One day there was a ritual hunting ceremony, and everyone in the group was supposed to leave their camp and take part in it. Kabor was too weak to go, probably because he had to give up all his water. Anywho's, his relatives did not think he mattered, so he was left alone. They thought he was too weak to get up from where he was lying, so they didn't bother to hide the water container. They expected that he would be dead by the time they got back, and they did not care. But Kabor was a very determined boy, and he did not intend to die. As soon as everyone was out of sight, he struggled up, crawled to the water container, and had a long, cold drink. Immediately, he felt a little stronger. As his strength returned, he devised a plan. a way to make sure he would never be thirsty again. He gathered up all the bark water containers, first those belonging to his relatives and then those belonging to the rest of the group as well. So he placed in the forks of a nearby gum tree, and the rest he hung in the lower branches. Then he climbed into the tree himself. There he sat calmly, chanting a mysterious magic song, which he had once learnt. His song had strong mystical power, and the tree slowly began to grow taller. As he chanted, it grew taller and taller, until it stood higher than any other tree. When Kabor's relatives and the rest of the group returned that evening, they were amazed at the sudden height of the trees. Then they became annoyed as they realized that Kabor was up there way up out of reach, and with him, all their precious water. Come down, they shouted. We need to drink. Bring our water back down. But Kabor pretended not to hear. Several of the men tried to climb the tree, but it was much too high. The people were tired after their hard day. They were also very hot and very thirsty, and as time passed, they grew more and more thirsty and more angry. At last they called on one of the old men who knew magic. He was very clever, and after a time, with the help of his magic, he was able to climb the tree. Kabor watched, and as the man climbed towards him, he became very frightened. And indeed, when the man reached the boy, he began to beat and shake him savagely. Please don't beat me anymore, Kabor cried. Let me explain why I did this. But the angry old man would not listen. He raised Kabor above his head and threw him hard, all that long way to the ground. The people watched in silence as Kabor crashed in a crumpled heap at the foot of the tree. For a moment, the shattered little body lay motionless, but after they had time to blink, he was changed from a boy into a koala. His ancestor spirits had been watching and had decided to help him. The people who saw this miracle cried out in amazement as, quick as thought, Kabor the koala scampered back up the tree. Now indeed he was safe, because even the man who knew magic was afraid after what had happened. He knew that his magic could not match this, and he very quickly climbed down from the tree. Then he and all the rest of the group stood for a long while looking up at Koala Kabor. Hi, Ken. Good to see you. All those who had seen this miracle continued to be very much afraid of Kabor. Sorry about the camera not working. I'm not sure why it didn't come back after the break, but I tried. It just won't work. But at least the internet's working. So that's good. All those who had seen this miracle continued to be very much afraid of Kabor. They realized that the spirits helped him, and he no longer needed water himself, and might cause further drought as a punishment for them if they were ever to harm him again, especially if anyone were to break his bones. Koalas have lived high in the treetops ever since, and unlike most other animals, they do not need water to keep them alive. Each generation of Aboriginal people has been told this story. They have listened and understood, and have decided it is wiser to leave the koalas to themselves, safe and undisturbed in their leafy treetop world. The Hunters Who Quarreled. This Dreamtime legend comes from the people of Northern Territory. There were two fine young men, strong and honest, who were good friends and often went hunting together, sharing with each other whatever they caught or gathered. They agreed on most things, but in just one way they differed. The taller one liked the open spaces, and even at night he refused to shelter in a cave or a humpy. What's a humpy, I wonder? I don't know. I like to see the stars, he said, laughing at his smaller friend, who always liked to be sheltered, especially at night. Every time they moved to a new campsite, the smaller man quickly built himself a shelter of logs, leaves, and bark. His tall friend sat and watched, making fun of him. In spite of this difference, the two continued to enjoy hunting together, and both knew they hunted better with each other's help. So life went along smoothly for them until one night when a terrible storm blew up, changing their quiet lives forever. The thunder and lightning were intense, and the rain pelted down more heavily than they had ever seen before. The smaller man, of course, was snug and safe in the strong shelter that he had built earlier, but the tall man out in the open soon became very wet, cold, and miserable. His beloved stars were hidden behind the storm clouds. At times like this, it is better to be under cover, he muttered to himself as he hurried to his friend's shelter. The shelter was very small, but he tried to squeeze into it anyway. This woke the smaller man, who was not pleased. "You were too lazy to build your own shelter," he said. "Now go away. There isn't enough space for two of us." The tall man would not listen and would not leave, and the two of them began to quarrel. They grew more and more angry with each other as the storm raged around them, until finally the tall man picked up a rock and hit his friend on the head. What the crack! The smaller man, his forehead battered and bleeding, managed to pick up his spear and hurl it. It struck the tall man in the back as he turned to avoid it, and stuck through, protruding. The two men were in such rage and such pain that their ancestor spirits, who had been hovering close by, decided to put an end to the battle. They took away the pain and, in the same action, changed them both into animals. The small man, with his newly flattened forehead, suddenly found that he had become a wombat, while the tall man found he was a wallaby, with a protruding spear changed into a tail. Ever since that time, wombats have continued to hide away from the world, just as the small man had done. Wallabies, like the tall man, have continued to roam unprotected and free in the open. And to this day, wombats and wallabies try very hard to avoid each other. I don't know, that story is pretty interesting, if you ask me. Why the platypus is special. Traditional Aboriginal people from all parts of Australia regarded the platypus as very special. It was taboo and therefore not hunted, for food as most of the animals were. This Dreamtime legend explains why. It comes from the folklore of the Wiradjuri people, who lived in traditional times in the area now known as Central New South Wales. To me, the platypus is remarkable. It's a mammal with a beak and webbed feet, and if you get clawed by its feet, you're in trouble. I'm not sure if it bites, but I know if you catch the claw, you're gonna be hurting for certain. Very early in the Dreamtime, the ancestor spirits were deciding on totems, and the animals, the water creatures, and the birds were all vying for what they thought was the top position. All the birds decided to hold a special meeting and try to prove that they were the most significant of all the creatures. Birds of all species came along, and it was an impressive gathering. The birds had decided to invite the platypus. He and his mate certainly belong among us, they said. Holy shnikes, I have to check my speaker. I think I didn't turn my mic back on. Nope, I'm there. Okay, good. Thank goodness. Anywho, alright. She lays eggs, and they each have a bill like a duck. The platypus attended the meeting and listened as the birds all declared that they were certainly the most important of all creatures because they were the only ones who could fly. "I can't fly," interrupted the emu. Some of the birds looked worried. "But I can run faster than all the rest of you," the emu added. "Emu, emu." And they all said, "True, true," and seemed satisfied. Once the birds, with a great deal of noise, had convinced each other of their own importance, they welcomed the platypus as part of their group. "Oh no," he said. "I am glad to be invited to your meeting, but I am not really a bird." "But we think you are one of us, part of our group," they said anxiously. "You and your family are different in some ways from the rest of us, but we really want you to belong to our group." I'll think about it, promised the platypus as he scampered back to his mate in their waterside hole. The birds all screeched, squawking or chirping a goodbye. Soon after this, all the animals held their own equally impressive meeting, equally keen to prove their own superiority. Every animal, large and small, marsupial or not, was invited, and every animal attended. The kangaroo was the chief speaker, so that just reminds me of like kangaroo court. We animals are definitely superior to any other group, he announced with conviction. We are strong and swift, and much more intelligent than the birds or the water creatures. The koalas and wallabies, bandicoots and possums, and all the rest loudly agreed. We are the best in the land, added the kangaroo, and they all agreed. The best, that's right, that's what we are. I think, added the kangaroo, we would invite the platypus to join our group. He is different to any of us in some ways, but he runs on land and is covered with fur as we are. There was a noisy chorus of grunt, grunt, squack, squack, as everyone agreed, and as soon as the meeting ended, some of the animals ran to tell the platypus what had been decided. He was surprised and happy to be received with so much attention, but he told him, as he had told the birds, that he would have to think before he could really make a decision. It was not long before a big fish called a meeting of all the water creatures. Along they came and spent a lot of time telling each other how important they were with their wonderful swimming abilities. In fact, a dugong and a turtle almost got into a fight about which of them was entitled to be called the best. When all this had been calmed down, the big fish asked, "What about the platypus?" He built his home at the water's edge. He has webbed feet and swims remarkably well. Shouldn't he be asked to join our prestigious group? Everyone clapped and cheered, agreeing that the platypus and his family were very popular and would bring additional prestige to the water creatures group. As the meeting was being held quite near to the platypus home, the whole group decided to go and visit them and discuss the matter. The platypus was most surprised to find another group at his door. He listened politely as they asked him to join them, then smiled and thanked them graciously. "I will think about it," he promised, "and give you my answer next week." Off they all went, feeling certain that the platypus would want to join their wonderful group. All the next day the platypus discussed the strange situation with his family, but they could give him no advice at all. So he went to visit his friend, the spiny echidna, and explain the situation. The echidna, or is it echidna? I don't know, thought carefully and then advised the platypus not to join any of those groups. They talked about it for a while, and the platypus could think of no better answer. First he told his family, and then he sent separate messages to the birds, the animals, and the water creatures. He invited each group to a place near his home, and he insisted that they must all come together in friendship. You can imagine the noise and chatter and fuss as so many different creatures gathered for such a meeting. The members of each group, birds, animals, and water creatures, were sure that the platypus and his family had chosen that group to join, and each was pleased that the other groups would be there to hear this important announcement. When the platypus finally emerged from his hole, a hush fell over the whole crowd. "You are my friends," began the platypus in quiet sincerity. "I understand the birds because you have to keep your eggs warm just as we do. I understand the water creatures because, like us, you dive into the depths and explore the underwater world each day as we do. I feel akin to the animals who run on land and grow fur like us." He paused and looked from one to another of his listeners as they stood silently, waiting expectantly for him to announce his choice. Yes, Each of you is special in your own way, he continued, and I am grateful that Biami, the father of all, has seen fit to make me a little bit like each one of you. He paused again, very much aware of the air of expectancy in the hushed crowd. After much thought, he said, slowly and clearly, my family and I have decided to be friends with each one of you, but we will not become members of any one group. There was an audible murmur of disbelief, but the platypus continued. It is my hope that each time any one of you sees a member of my family, you will be reminded that Biami in the sky world, the great father of all, made each one of us. He made my family the way we are. He made each of you the way you are. He created us all differently. Even if we don't understand his reasons, I think we must accept his decision and learn to respect each other more than we do. And he bowed his head humbly and indicated that he had no more to say. For a moment, there was complete silence. But gradually, the creatures began to applaud. As they thought about what he had said, they all realized that they should indeed learn to understand and value each other, and not be concerned only for themselves. Slowly, in a quiet and orderly manner, they all left the gathering, each one wiser than before. At this time, the Aboriginal people could each interchange bodies with their particular totem. They heard what the platypus had said. They heeded his message and agreed that he was unique and should be regarded as very special. The story was told to each generation, and Aboriginal people of all areas, century after century, have continued to respect the platypus family. In traditional times, whenever people saw a platypus scurrying around the creek bank or swimming in the river, they regarded it as an omen of good luck. Perhaps that is why most of us feel a special thrill when we see one nowadays. I don't think I've ever seen a platypus, and I've only gone to the zoo twice, and like I said, I will not go again. I only went this last time because it was in Denver, and I thought it would be better than Albuquerque, but still the eagle was in this cage that was too small to even spread his wings, so that was really sad. But I have not seen a platypus in person, but I really do like them. They're very, very unique. The white dingo. This is a scary story which comes from the Northern Territory. Aboriginal mothers of long ago used to tell this legend to their children as a warning. It was the dingo ate your baby. In the Dreamtime, there was a woman called Gulagaya who had no children. Even though everyone tried to be friendly to her, she was jealous of the other women in the group. She was always causing trouble, quarreling with the other women who had children, and as a result, no one liked her. Gulagaya had a pure white dingo as a pet, and the two other of them went everywhere together. The dingo was extremely savage, growling and snapping at anyone who came too near to him or his mistress. Everyone in the group was afraid of the dingo, because the dingo ate your baby. And this pleased Gulagaya very much. She often patted her pet and said, "Good boy," as he crawled and snarled at them. One day, after a particularly loud and long quarrel with a woman named Naluk, Gulagaya felt especially mean. She picked up Naluk's baby boy, oh my gosh, and quickly hid him under a bush beside the nearby lagoon. As she hoped, Naluk panicked when she realized the child was missing, and the fuss pleased Gulagaya, who stood watching, chuckling to herself. The dingo stood beside her watching too, occasionally giving a deep-throated growl. Naluk ran around searching everywhere, able to find her little boy. In the end, Gulagaya got tired of watching and went to fetch the baby. but he had crawled out from under the bush and fallen into the lagoon. Oh my goodness. She could see his little body floating in the murky water. He had drowned. That's so freaking sad. When the rest of the group heard what had happened, they were very shocked and very angry. They had put up with Gulagea doing many bad things, but this was just too much. They had had enough of her, and of her savage white dog. They held a meeting and decided to seize the two quickly and kill them. There'll be no more trouble from them, they said later, as they buried the bodies deep in the mud of the lagoon. But it is not so easy to put an end to trouble. Though their bodies were buried so deep in the mud, their spirits escaped, and as you might expect, they were both evil spirits, angry spirits. The two spirits made their home in a gaunt old tree which stood near the water's edge. They kept out of sight during the day, but when the night came, they would both creep out of their hiding place and roam the area, searching for any little children out on their own. Any they found, they would snatch and drown. The Aboriginal mothers of long ago told the story to their children and warned them to be careful. Keep well away from the lagoon, they warned. The children listened and were afraid of Gulagea and her spirit dingo. They kept well clear of the lagoon, especially after dark. The giant frog. I don't know if you guys know, but frogs are my favorite. And butterflies. I'm intrigued to read this story. Early in the Dreamtime, there lived a frog. He was called Tiddalik, and he was the largest frog anyone had ever seen. One morning, in the middle of hot summer, he woke with an unquenchable thirst. He drank the water in all the little puddles. Still, he was thirsty. He drank the water in all the gullies and creeks. Still, he was thirsty. He hopped on his long, strong legs everywhere and drank the water in each lake and every river until he drank every drop of fresh water in the land. Then at last he felt satisfied and settled down in the shade of a big tree to rest his giant body. He was happy. With all that water stored inside, how could he ever be thirsty again? But the other creatures who lived in this land were not happy at all. Tiddalik had left no water for the rest of them. Each day they became more and more thirsty. Even the leaves on the bushes and trees began to shrivel from the drought. Desperate, the creatures came to Tiddalik, who was sitting contentedly in the shade, bulging with water. Pretty sure that frog was waterlogged. Please, they begged him, let a little water spill out for us. Tiddalik stared at them for a while with his big eyes, then he yawned and said, No. What could they do? Finally, a wild old wombat thought of an idea. If he would only laugh, some of the water would have to come flooding out. The animals agreed and began trying to find ways to make the giant frog laugh. First, all the animals, big and small, began to play leapfrog over each other. This was great fun, and it made everyone laugh except for Tiddalik. The emus tried a ballet dance. The dingoes marched 2 by 2, while an old kangaroo slapped out the rhythm of his tail. A frill-necked lizard began to polka on his hind legs, and then on his front ones. The kookaburra told funny stories. They were so funny that the kookaburra himself laughed until he nearly choked. But Tiddalik did not even smile. The wallabies waltzed, and the wombats waddled. The giant frog ignored every one of them. They could not think of anything else to try. Then a very small eel called Nabubun slithered up to them. The water in his favorite creek had been swallowed up. He had nowhere to live, and he was angry. In fact, he was very angry. He placed himself right in front of the giant frog and began to tell him off in ill language. If you speak ill, you will know that it includes twisting the body around according to what is being said. I know people like that use their neck. Anywho's, as the ill became more and more eloquent in his anger, he twisted his body into more and more strange shapes. At one point, he actually tied himself into a knot. And mean, sulky, Bogi Tiddalik suddenly began to laugh. He had never laughed before, and he did not really know how to start. At first, it was a snort, and then a chuckle, and then a loud, long, burst from then a loud, long, great cavern of his mouth. Then, as the others watched in delight, a trickle of water emerged from the corner of his lips. As the laughter took over his whole body, the trickle became a stream, and then a river. It flooded out and across the whole land, until the lakes and waterways were all filled to overflowing. Everyone was happy, drinking and bathing, and watching the plants become moist again. In Namuban slipped back to his creek. When he stopped laughing, Tiddalik felt better than ever he had before, relaxed from laughing and more comfortable for being less tight and bulgy. He decided to never do such a selfish thing again, and we must all hope he doesn't. How the sun came to be. For tens of thousands of years, the Aboriginal people lived in scattered groups right across Australia. Some of their legends belong only to one place, often dealing with a matter of particular local interest. But there were some questions which all the groups asked about the world they saw around them, and as a result, there are many similar legends explaining, for example, how the sun came to be in the sky, appearing each morning and giving warmth. Here is one of them, from the area now known as Central Victoria. Very early in the Dreamtime, the sun did not yet shine. There was a young woman who decided to leave her group because the elders would not allow her to marry the man of her choice. She would not listen to reason. She went a long way away and hid in a dry, rocky area. There was little food here and little water and no good place to sleep. But hungry and thirsty and tired as she became, she would not give up in return. Then she saw that the men from her group were coming to take her back by force, and she ran even further into the most barren part of the land. Soon, torn and bruised by branches and rocks, she was exhausted and near death. But somehow, she summoned the energy to keep going. At last, her ancestor spirits became so concerned that they lifted her gently away to a safe, quiet place in the sky. There she slept soundly for a long time. When she awoke, she found plenty of food and water and lit a campfire. She was all alone but not afraid. Grateful that she was now warm and safe, she was still determined to live alone forever rather than return to the group. At first, she held on to her resentment towards the people of her group. But as she looked down on them, she saw that most of the men and women were sad that she had gone, and after a while, her heart began to soften. Within a few days, she found she was feeling quite homesick, but now she found that she belonged to the sky world and was no longer able to return. What shall I do? She asked herself. I cannot go back, and yet I would like to help them. And then she saw a way in which she could help. Her people were cold, occupied with all the chores of daily life. They could not sit by the campfire and keep warm as she now could. I will build up my fire. I will make it so big that it will warm the busy people down below, she decided. All day, she gave warmth to her people. As night came, she let her fire die down, because then they were able to sit by their own campfires. When she saw that this helped and pleased her people, she made up her mind to light her fire afresh every day. Soon, her people began to look each day for her sky world fire. All the people on Earth became grateful for the warmth it gave them. They called it the sun. The lonely years were long for the young woman, exiled from her people forever. It was a joy to her that she could shine her warmth on them each day. That's pretty neat. I like that story. So now we have how the moon came to be. As with the sun, there were many Dreamtime legends from different places which explain how the moon came to be and why it changes shape. This, one of the best known, comes from the Northern Territory. Japara, who lived in the Dreamtime, was an excellent hunter who helped to keep the people of his group well fed. He had a wife and a little son whom he loved dearly. One day, when Japara was out on the plains hunting, another man called Parukapoli came to visit Japara's wife. Parukapoli was a lazy man who could not be bothered with hunting. He preferred telling stories. He told many stories to Japara's wife, telling them cleverly so that she forgot everything else as she listened and laughed. She even forgot for a moment to watch her baby boy. Oh my gosh. Not the dingo! He crawled to a nearby stream and toppled over the bank. Japara's wife saw the splash. She ran to the water and poured the little boy out. But it was too late. Paul had drowned. For many hours, she sat by the stream, holding his little dead body in her arms and sobbing quietly as she waited for Japara to come home. When Japara came at last and heard the story, he was sad. But then he became extremely mad and angry with his wife, blaming her for what had happened. He was still carrying his hunting weapons, and in the first blaze of his anger, he killed her. Then he began a fierce fight with Parakapali. They fought for a long time, giving each other many hard blows, and both were seriously injured. At last, Parakapali fell dead. Japara was left in great pain for his many wounds and great sadness for the death of his son. Although they could see he was badly injured and distressed, the rest of the group were very angry with him. They gathered round him shouting, "You should not have killed your wife. She really loved your little boy. She did not mean to let such a terrible thing happen. It was an accident." Slowly, through all his distress, Japara began to listen to what they were saying and to realize that it was true. Then he became very sorry for what he had done. He hurried as well as he could with his wounds to where he had left his poor dead wife and their little boy, but their bodies had disappeared, although no one had touched them. Immediately he knew that kind spirits had taken them to finish living out their lives in some other place. He called to these spirits to forgive him for being so angry and so cruel. He told them he really loved his wife and wanted nothing more than to be with her and their little boy again. The spirits from on high heard his plea. They knew that he was telling them the truth. "Your wife and little boy are safe with us here in the sky world," they assured him. "We have decided that you may leave the earth world and come here too. But as a punishment for your terrible deeds, you must search this wide, lonely sky until you find them, and it will not be easy." The people who tell this story say that the moon is the reflection of Japara's campfire. The lines which are sometimes visible as a reminder of his scars. The moon changes because Japara is forever changing camp as he moves across the dark world of the sky. Some people believe that he has found his wife and son and that they are exploring the mysterious sky world together. Others believe that Chapara is still desperately searching for his loved ones. Next time you are out at night, have a long look at the moon and see what you think. Well, on that note, boys and girls, we're going to go to our second music break. Hopefully I can get the camera going. Because yeah, this next hour we have the creepy video. And yeah, I think I still need to pick one. Last night, for the first hour, we had a really good one from Adrian, but we'll see what we got in our Gmail. So on this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard with his 80s ballad, Abandon. Then Miss Mia Savage with her group, Antidote for Savages, with Lemire and Crypto, Your Skeleton, and The Bottom Line. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Why won't you answer my call?
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me tonight on Year Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I had to unplug the camera and plug it back in, so now it's working. I'm not sure if it's, to my perspective thoughts. Yeah. It's still buffering, so I don't know. So the next thing we have, as far as the third hour goes, is I shall present to you a video which I have deemed fit for us to watch together. What do you think? Let's do it. Here we go. Let me get back over here real quick and share this. Why is it not popping up? Hello? Hello? Make it bigger. There we go. Alright. Weird videos that will keep you up all night. Episode 53. A huevo? So is this an egg? I don't know. Let's see. What does the huevo have for us? Oh yeah, and I just remembered. I have to go over to speaker and change the sound over to voice meter us. Alright. We're all set. Oh, and I also have to mute it. I must remind myself.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome back. Leave a like so this video is recommended to others, and hit that subscribe button so you can keep seeing videos just like this.
It's very scary, and what Brenda went through is utterly terrifying.
This man has been spotted spooking hairstylists in Florida with some search history found on his phone.
Hey. Happy Monday. Hi. I just came to come say hi. Hi. Because I said it was open, so I figured, you know what? I'll come to flirt to whoever is in here.
Oh, I'm waiting for somebody to get here, though.
Oh, and I'll be leaving in 2 minutes, so at least it'll be quick.
Okay.
Squeeze it. You lift it, and then you bend it.
Okay.
I'm getting creepy feelings from that guy. Like, quit touching me. Get the fuck away.
Here, Brenda. What is the secret handshake? Here, check it out real quick. Stand up for me.
He proceeded being physical for over 5 minutes until her client showed up, but he forgot his phone, and when they looked into his phone, they found search history for women names and police stations locations.
Is he like tripping or something?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
He was harassed by a random man that has later have found out that he's been harassing and targeting hairstylists.
But what do you think about this?
Wow. I don't like
in
it.
the
Like,
crap, dude? Has this
I had
man
to
been
pull my
reported
sleeves
to the
down.
police? I'm not going to show his name, but if you look up this video, there's a lot of women in the comment section that know this man personally, and they're saying he is a creep. Look at this comment.
Yeah.
This man has literally come up to me at my car. He approached me in downtown Tampa. What? Dude.
I'm
No way.
freaking out right now. I feel like I'm experiencing one of those glitch in the Matrix moments. You ever see people talk about those on here? I'm upstairs in our Airbnb. We have guests coming today, so I've been cleaning it and whatnot. I have most of the rooms done. About an hour ago, I did the bathroom. I cleaned it top to bottom.
Fancy.
I swept, as you can see, the broom. I mopped and everything. I just went to walk in here to double check to make sure the floors look good. And this is laying on the bathroom floor. Hold on. And this is from a necklace that my husband got me for Christmas a few years ago.
Wow.
I wear it a lot, but I have not been wearing it for the last couple weeks because I've been wearing my gold necklaces. And like I said, I just cleaned this whole bathroom top to bottom and did the floors not even an hour ago. And I have not worn this necklace in weeks. So now I have to go downstairs and look at all my jewelry and see if I have the chain for it in its usual spot. So if we come into my bedroom, I always keep my most worn necklaces right here. Literally, I know it. This is the chain. Yes, this is the chain that it usually sits on. And that was just upstairs on my fucking bathroom floor in the Airbnb. I cannot stress enough that I have not worn this necklace in at least a couple weeks.
I know, Airbnbs
Like
are
I
creepy
said,
too.
I have been wearing my gold necklaces religiously. I haven't even taken them off to sleep or shower. I am never going to be able to explain this, and it's going to drive me absolutely insane. I'm very happy that I did find it, because I would have been upset if I lost this. I really love this necklace. My husband has good taste.
Yeah, isn't that
I've
funny
had a
that,
similar
like, that's,
situation
like, her
happen to me.
favorite?
You guys ever just drop something and you'll be in the kitchen, you'll drop like something stupid, like a screw, something small, and you'll look for it for like 20 minutes, only to find it the next day somewhere on your bedroom floor, and you just wonder how did this get here. I can't be the only one though. You guys probably had this happen too.
Because they take shit. No. Holy crap. That's a good window. Tell you what. Where the crack do you find a window like that? Look so dark. This is crazy. No way in hell. Like, where the fuck is this? Like,
you were so calm about that. That is not the reaction I would expect. At least that duck's having a good day.
A man by the name Tom Kendall was walking back home from the store when this happened.
Y'all gonna think I'm crazy. I'm walking down the street, walking back from the store. There's this guy probably about 15 feet behind me. And you know, you can tell someone's walking behind you. I look back, he's just fucking looking at me. He stops when I stop. So I walk forward a little bit. You know, I keep walking like that.
Good guy.
I said, get back, turn around, I go, what? What's your problem?
I gotta turn my volume, I can't hear shit.
I swear to God, on my mother's grave, this guy's eyes was jet black. Jet black. He should have smiling like that, man. I turned around, I ran. I said, this dude.
It's at 100.
I come home. I'm sitting out there where my street is. At that corner right there, man, I stopped saying that was standing right fucking there, dude. Come in here, get my gun, look out again, he's gone. That dude was not fucking human.
A shadow being began following Tom ever since strange noises led him to find an object outside his house containing a wax-like paper with symbols on it and an old ring of his. I conducted some research in the matter and found many of these symbols are in fact witchcraft symbols with the following meanings. Starting with the first and most clear of the three, on the bottom right side, this ribbon-like symbol represents Manus,
my daughter made for me,
which indicates cooperation. Just above that, there's this P-like symbol, which looks very similar to Turisas, the devil, representing the forces of chaos. And finally, moving slightly above that, there's Gebo, the lover, which indicates exchange. Just above these three is another witchcraft symbol, the Triquetra.
It's like geometry to me. I do not
Having
know.
one of Tom's rings attached to this, it's no secret this person intends to curse Tom. On previous videos, Tom can be seen experiencing lights flickering in his room as it follows him around.
And I just have to say really quick, because, like I said, my mom was into magic, and she would go to the cemetery and talk to the dead. I kind of do that as far as investigating, but supposedly she had a spell book and different things like that. My siblings said, like, shortly after they read from her spell book that they had found on the bookshelf, that's when my mom started to see, like, hooded men around her bed, and that's when my sister saw the woman in black, and then I saw her about a week before my mom passed, and like I said before in shows, like, she knew when she was going to go, so it was very intriguing. But as far as sigils like this go, like, looks like they did a spell. It's on paper, there's burnt marks, and then there's a ring. So that's something that's attached to somebody. Could even hold, like, particulates or DNA or certain cells. Yeah, I've asked, like, I have this sigil up here, which is for protection. And I've also had people come to me with different sigils, and they ask me, like, what does this mean? And from what I understand, it just really depends on what energy you put into it. So that to me is pretty interesting.
Around his throat.
Stop it.
Oh.
Stop it. Okay, dude. Bad dreams, man. Look. Yeah, it's not the house, it's whatever's following me around.
Yeah, whatever that is.
That's a totally different lamp. That's the lamp I had in my room. That's a totally different lamp. Look at that, what the f it's doing.
And that lamp is ass backwards, or bass backwards.
But one day when Tom explains he's being followed by this shadow man, he sees this.
Who's that?
A black patch can be seen in the corner of the room, staring at me for just a moment, and as he returns, nothing's there.
That's not
After
good.
many claims
What
of
the
seeing
hell?
this
That looks like
smiling
a speaker or
man,
something.
one night Tom records a horrifying video.
Heck yeah, it's been too long, sister.
Right in there. There the he is, dude. I swear. The man.
Hey, man.
Emotion sensor went off.
Oh, shit. Who the fuck is that?
You see that?
That's creepy. Is that a minion? Bonito. They're shaped weirdly.
I told you. Think with his arms, dude.
Just in front of his
Keep making
home,
this shit up. It's not
person
there.
can be seen watching him. Tom
Is that
claims
weirdly
this is the
shaped?
smiling man. Judging by the shadow
looks like a
casted on
Bonito.
this person,
Looks like a
it's clear
minion.
this is a human.
Bonito.
So could this actually be the person responsible for cursing Tom? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Fucking
I
creepy.
don't know if this
that's all I
guy's
can
crazy
say.
or not. He looks kind of freaked out, man. I hope he's not schizo, because I kind of believe
He
this
seemed
poor
like-
guy.
Cracky, but no. Seriously.
We'll move away. Come back this way, Charlie. Okay. Just go up to the bump and start behind him.
It's like, holy shit. Yeah, he still wants to rip your throat out.
He was not interested in that chunk of meat, bro. That lion is staring into that man's soul, and the only thing holding him back is that tiny little fence. That fence doesn't even look that tall. Can't lions jump pretty high? This looks very sketchy, man.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. A Florida man had 150 live bugs removed from inside his face last week. He started to feel off about 4 months ago, but it was last week when things escalated. He said over a couple hours his face just started feeling like it was on fire and he couldn't even talk. He said that when he went in for the examination, the doctor just said, "I see movement." It was when the doctor took the camera inside of the nose that things got real. These were not microscopic bugs. It was dozens of live larvae that were feeding on the inside of his face cavity. This is the doctor saying that the larger ones were the size of the end of his pinky. The doctor tried to remove them with suction, but they clogged the suction. Bugs were burrowing up against his skull base, right under his eyes.
You know, you feel it and you're like, maybe my neighbors, are doing meth or something and, some of their stuff is getting in here and I'm tripping out. Like, I kind of flesh is moving. I keep getting this twitch in my right eye. Couldn't find out. You got worms in your face.
Come on, everyone picks their nose. You should have known immediately something was happening. At least you made it to the doctor before it was too late. That would have been such a horrible way to go.
Morbid Facts, Part 203. After winning 4 gold and 2 silver medals in the 2012 Olympics, making him the most successful Olympic athlete in history, Michael Phelps became deeply depressed. He felt as though his sense of purpose had been completed, and was consumed with so much emptiness that he contemplated taking his own. In 1995, an American talk show had guests meet their secret admirers, but didn't tell them that their admirers were of the same gender as them. One guest was so upset to learn another man had a crush on him that he murdered him 3 days later. During court proceedings, Oklahoma Judge Donald D. Thompson was known to use a pump under his robe and occasionally shaved his sack and peed in a trash can. Yes, during trials. He was eventually disbarred, prosecuted, and served jail time. He then sued the state to keep his $9,000 judicial pension and lost the case. During that proceeding, one woman testified that during a trial in 2002, she heard him using the pump during the emotional testimony of a murderer's grandfather.
That man is a monster, and he was a judge. Oh my god. What kind of demons' voices was this man hearing? Golly. Wow. What a freaking psychopath, man.
I came to the liquor store to get some Modelos because I just got off from work.
Modelo
but
time.
I'm an idiot. I left my window open. And when I opened the door, I noticed that someone took a bite on my burrito. I really hate Bakersfield. Look, they took a big...
I know that feeling. I've had my lunch at a job I used to work at. People were super inconsiderate, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had shrimp and rice, and lunchtime came around, half my dish was already gone. I threw it in the trash can and didn't have lunch that day. You feel violated.
This video is going viral of this guy that has an entire movie theater and snack bar to himself underneath the streets. And people were calling it fake, and I slowed down the video just to make sure it was real, and it seemed pretty pretty legit.
cool.
Now I'm assuming he owns the building and he made himself a little sewer-style entry point like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Nonetheless, wait till you see what this guy has behind this washer and dryer. So he goes to the washer to put in the combination to unlock the door to his movie theater. And he has more than one secure door before you can actually get into the theater. Grabs himself a little drink, and then he enters his thumbprint to access the next door. And he has an entire snack bar just to himself. But wait, he has another combination lock to get to the actual movie theater. He's like, you might be able to break in the first, maybe the second, but you're not going to get through this third door. He has a private movie theater fully decked out with lazy boy seating and all the snacks you could ever want. I'm truly jealous of this guy, but what movie would you watch here first if you could?
What happens if it rains, dude? All that water just goes down into your movie theater? This has to be fake just for that simple reason alone. It does look real, but we know it's...
Exhibit number 1.
No, put it in. It's rounded, so it's supposed to go like that, with the lip of the cup on top. And that's the way that it would fit, but that's the inverted part.
Fit, but
how do you make it fit in the cup? It's
living light.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't fit.
So next Saturday we have the pair on form. Then story time again with me. So
in the dishwasher.
Tonight you might
Thank you.
Next weekend, but it was nice to meet you.
No duh.
I'll be
Everybody
right back.
knows that broken glass inverts inside the dishwasher. Who doesn't know that? There you go, riddle solved.
No, but look, like, it's the opposite. Holy crap. The dog made friends with the beer. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Well, now you have to feed his friend too. It looks like you have a dog and a deer now. This comment is killing me, dude. Ooh, this is nice, girl.
I can't stop watching this video of Zuck trying to be a normal human.
Oh my god.
It's impossible
He
for
doesn't
him.
even know what to do.
He doesn't know what to do with his hands. The brain, his computer, it breaks. For those of you confused, Alexander Volkanovski last night fought at UFC 298, and he had Mark Zuckerberg walk him out and be in his coaching corner. While Volk was taking off his clothes that he walked to the ring with, Zuck didn't know what to do with his hands. Look, he literally puts up his hands like, I don't know what to do
with my hands.
And then look, he's like, well, there you go. That's the way to help, Zuck. That's how you pass this shirt over. He's like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? My hands? What am I supposed to do with them? There's a shirt. Grab it. Human. Yep, that's what humans do.
Why?
This man is
I'm
not.
weird in public.
They keep saying
I'm a
AI's
fucking
going to take
weirdo,
over.
but-
Look at an AI trying to be
Come
human.
on, Zuck. Pull it out. Let's do this.
Look at this. There you go. Good pass, Zuck. If you're wondering why Zuck was in the corner of Alexander Volkanovski, Zuck has taken a big liking to MMA. He's been training in and whatnot, and he trained with these two UFC champions. Well, they were champions when they trained, and since then, both these guys have lost. This guy's been knocked out twice, Alexander Volkanovski, and then this guy lost as one of the biggest favorites in a championship fight ever. And Zuck is the only common denominator in this photo. Oh, Zuck tore his ACL too. There may be a Zuckerberg curse. There may be a Zuck curse.
We're gonna have to chill on the Zuckerberg jokes for a little while because he's gonna snap one day and come after us. He's been training hard, man.
There's this one movie that I heard that is the most dangerous and cursed movie in the world, bro.
Dangerous and cursed movie.
Dangerous and cursed movie in the world. Like, it's something that they classified as dangerous. Like, you shouldn't watch it. People have died from watching this movie.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, the movie, it's called Antrim. So this movie, it was created in 1979, and it was basically about a sister and a brother that accidentally dug a hole to like hell. And there's a disclaimer before you watch the movie saying like, be careful watching this shit like that, because people have like supposedly after watching it.
Oh no.
Bro, in the 80s, they had the movie in a movie theater in Hungary. As they was playing the movie theater caught on fire and the collapsed. 56 people.
And the movie theater is crazy,
bro. And then another time was in like the 90s, I think, in San Francisco. It was the first time they played in America. They was playing it in the theater, and the people was getting anxious because they was getting scared and and they went to the door, and the door was locked, and they started having riots because they was like panicking, and 5 to 6 people because they got trampled. I think they banned it in a lot of countries because of how bad it is, how much bad luck it is.
Yeah, that's not good.
Watch it.
This is sick. This is sick. I can't watch that. bro.
I'll watch it. What's this movie called? Antrim. You gotta remember that. It probably sucks, to be honest. Maybe I'll watch a YouTube video on it, and then I'll decide if I want to watch it. I guess you guys will know if you never hear from me ever again.
Fun fact. On April 1st, 2022, Burt's Bees posted this photo to their Instagram, teasing that they were going to release a Hidden Valley Ranch flavored lip balm. It was obviously an April Fool's joke, but the comments on the post were so overwhelmingly positive, they decided to make it a reality. On January 14th, 2024, Burt's Bees dropped a limited edition, buffalo chicken wing inspired Hidden Valley Ranch collab pack that featured 4 unique lip balm flavors: Hidden Valley Ranch, fresh carrot, crunchy celery, and buffalo sauce. And the internet loved it. The limited edition 4-pack of flavors was initially listed on the Burt's Bees website for $11.99, but sold out in a matter of hours. And online resellers quickly began relisting the sets online for up to $200.
Scalpers always ruin everything, man. But I don't know. This doesn't seem appealing to me. None of these flavors seem like they would be a good idea. But to each his own, I guess. I won't judge you. Only a little bit, you weirdos.
I knew people that love the shit out of ranch, but I ain't gonna put that shit on my lips. Look at that. It's like a pinwheel.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know flowers could do that. That looks like a little Korok from Breath of the Wild.
This hole right here is suspicious, and just for shiggles, let me tell you why. Originally, next to this hole, there was a Russian research base. The Russians were there for 3 years before they said, "Oh, I'm out," and they gave it to Poland. Poland was there for 2 weeks before they said, "Not us," and they abandoned it. Then in 1979, some researchers decided they were going to be Billy Badass, and they were going to go out there and stay. They made it about 7 days before they had to be rescued. And why did they have to be rescued? Well, the official story is winter weather. I think this hole has a lot to do with it. Remember our boy Admiral Byrd, the one that flew over Antarctica and was actually summoned down into a hole by aliens? And they told him that they were worried about the human race, and the human race was going to blow up this earth, and they just could not have that. To go back to his leaders and make it stop. And he delivered that message, and the government said, "Ha, okay, shut up." But anyways, this hole seems a whole lot like the one that he was flying over, except much smaller. And it's on the edge of the continent. I don't know. It's suspicious.
First of all, shiggles. And second of all, I wish this story was true, man. If there really was aliens down there and they want to stop everyone from blowing planet Earth up, I would actually really love that. Because planet Earth is crazy, man. It is crazy.
You can't follow with me. Get out. Get out. You gotta go put the baby outside, okay? No. Some people have snakes and they're like, "Oh, look, my snake is cuddling me." No, it's sizing you up. God knows how much room to make.
I'm kind of jealous. Dude's cuddling with a little dinosaur, and it's freaking adorable. I think his bark box is broken. It's like playing in reverse or something. It's a cursed bark.
It's not something you see every day.
Oh, geez, it was, I mean, it went back.
Oh, shit, yeah.
At least,
I think they reported this in Hawaii,
but
too.
for people living in Cape Coral, they've been seeing it a lot this week.
It was really late at night. It was kind of around midnight. It was around midnight. And I was actually in my car. I was just getting home.
Look at that shit.
Going back and forth with a laser beam.
Fucking weird.
It scanned over me multiple times. And it was just moving. It was scanning the whole area, every square footage, basically, going just forth.
That low-flying plane was in Casey Sutton's neighborhood for hours Sunday night. Philip Bertolio saw it the same day, but a few hours earlier.
It's like Google Maps, but from the sky. And guess what? People saw that in Hawaii before the whole shit went up in flames. Except for the blue houses. What about Chile? Even blue houses didn't burn over there. It's weird.
And it would just go farther to the...
Yeah. I'm gonna paint my roof red. No, blue. Yeah, blue.
It's the first time these neighbors saw a sight like this while looking up at the night sky. So Casey decided to track down who the plane and its lasers belonged to.
I've never had flight radar until this happened, because I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it shows that what kind of plane it was and what type of plane. I don't know who owns it. It just says private owner.
When you put the information Casey provided into the FAA website, it comes back with this information saying it's registered to Randigo LLC. But it's unclear who or what they're doing.
It's hard to sue them.
why we're being scammed.
Because they're an LLC.
I also reached out to the U.S. Geological Survey as they are doing some mapping and data collection involving low-flying planes right now. But they told me not only do their planes fly during the day, they also don't use green lasers. I'm still waiting to hear back from the NOAA. I did speak with a representative over the phone. He was unable to confirm or deny if these planes belong to them.
I want one because I want to play with UFOs and like blink my green laser at them.
Everything about this is sketchy, man. So it's a private owner. They're doing scans at night, and they also use green lasers that nobody else is using. Somebody should keep their eye on this, man, just in case anything happens in the future. This is off the chart levels of sketch here. Feeding
Sketch for sure.
At night.
Oh.
Ooh, that is a big nope.
These are not deer. Those are grass.
That is terrifying.
You better watch out. A dingo ate you, baby.
Yeah, I think I'll pass. I'm not interested in feeding things that look like they can choke me out. Looks like he's gonna reach through the screen and just grab you. Bro doesn't take rejection well.
If you're in the water and you see a kangaroo, get the fuck out.
Midas! Hey!
Oh, shit!
Blizzard, okay.
He was just like rubbing on her and then
Bro
he
got
kicked
really
her ass through the
butthurt.
fence.
That title did not lie. You definitely can't handle rejection.
So a woman went to a dentist to get some teeth removed and in the parking lot on her way out. Here's what happened. You see, she had developed an infection and she was set to get 18 teeth removed from a dentist's office. The problem they ran into is while she was sitting in the chair, even before the dentist came in, her heart rate was at 130 beats per minute. Now, the dentist came in to do the procedure, and the dental assistant was like, hey, look, I'm just waiting for her heart rate to go down. It's at 130 beats per minute. And the dentist looks over and says, we're fine, and begins the procedure. Now, about 16 teeth pulled into this 18 teeth procedure, the heart rate still has not gone down, and at that point, the dentist decides to stop the procedure. The dentist then says to her sister, Crystal, pictured here, hey, you need to get your sister to the hospital. Her heart rate is not going down. She may have a heart problem, and you want to go get that checked out immediately. You see, April relied on an oxygen tank due to the number of respiratory and blood conditions that she had. So Crystal gets her sister, Ghost takes her out to the parking lot. They go to get in the car, and her sister April just passes out on the ground. Now, Crystal immediately runs back into the office, alerts everybody. The staff runs out, but she says that the staff just kind of stood there rubbing her chest. Nobody performed CPR or anything until the dentist came out, and the dentist yelled at her and said, I told you to take her to the hospital. At which point Crystal replies, I have to get her in the car in order for that to happen. An ambulance was then called and took her to the hospital where she was pronounced.
That dentist just screwed up big time, man. Big time screwed up. I smell lawsuit and
well, that kind of freaks me out, though, because it's so weird. Like, even when I've been pregnant and other times, even when I was speaking back in the day, like, I didn't have high blood pressure. But I swear to God, every time I go to the dentist, like, I used to be scared. Like I said, like, for 10 years, I didn't have a cavity, and now I'm in my 40s, and the last cavity I had was one of my wisdom teeth. So I've had 2 teeth pulled. Otherwise, I have the rest of my teeth. And I have 4 wisdom teeth, 1 pulled, so 3. Anywho, I'm not afraid of the dentist, but when I go, my blood pressure is always like accelerated and crazy. It's so weird. And I'm like, I'm not nervous or anything, because she's like, maybe you're nervous because you're at the dentist and I'm cleaning your teeth. But I wasn't. But yeah, every time my blood pressure's up, and I'm like, well, maybe it's because I drank a Monster, sugar-free Monster. This one's a peach keen. But anyways, she's like, yeah, you know, that shit is poison to your body. I'm like, yeah. But even going to my doctors and stuff like that, when I go to the doctors, it's not high. So I think it's just, you know, they do the wrist cuff instead of the arm cuff. So I think their wrist cuff is off. But what about everybody else? Like, wouldn't it show up with everyone else? I don't know. Just saying.
Coming. That's scary, man. Sometimes I do feel like healthcare providers can be a little bit careless, you know? I think that's why most people have a fear of hospitals. Overweight bumblebee can't stop. I'm all for it.
There's lots of ghosties there. Look at that bumblebee. He's so cute. He's so fly. Look at those Little tiny wings for that big old body. Like, how does he even fly? That's insane.
They did not disappoint. That boy is chunky. I guess even animals develop eating disorders. That's crazy. That'd probably be me if I was a bee. I love me some food.
Let's go.
Dude, this is insane. Where is this? Oh man, it's in Orlando. That is so far away. That looks so cool though. Take my credit card, please. Somebody build one here in Texas. That would be amazing.
Nope, this is not just a plant, but a deadly, painful bio.
Oh my god, yeah.
That is spreading
Don't wipe your ass with that when
everyone
you're out
fast.
in the wilderness.
And if you just come near it, your life might already be over. People were terrified to hear a plant that grows near roadways and streams that has millions of tiny toxic needles that even just slightly touching it can cause a pain that is described as being burned by hot acid and being electrocuted at the same time. One police officer accidentally wiped the plant on him and was in so much pain, he thought the only relief was at the end of his gun barrel. The unbearable pain is reported to last days non-stop, and in some cases, even having it for years with no relief. And those who have been in pain for years were seen going into madness. And even just walking near the plant, it can cause severe nosebleeds.
That's exactly the sound I would make.
Named Gimpy, it's currently being grown in places that have warmer and wetter climates, reported to be spreading in places like Australia and Asia, and must be avoided at all costs.
The Gimpy, stay away from that thing. What a not so menacing name for a super dangerous plant. Well, here's another thing to worry about if you live in Australia.
Americans are so used to thinking food has to be processed because all their food is processed. This is true, but not only is food heavily processed in the United States, it also has a ton of preservatives in it. Here's a quick example. This is a bag of bread that I bought a while ago from the supermarket, and I forgot about it, and it's been sitting on my counter for a while. Just a bag of sliced bread, nothing fancy. The best by date is January 16th, 2024. Currently, it is February 11th, so it is about a month past the best by date, and we bought it probably 2 weeks before that date. So this bread was opened probably about a month and a half ago.
5 bunches of bread.
Pull a slice
Keep
out
that
here,
for the end of the world.
It is not stale. It is floppy. It smells like bread. It looks like bread. There's no mold on it.
Yeah,
this
there's no
looks
mold.
identical to
Like,
when
what
we
the
first
fuck,
opened it up, and it's
seriously?
been opened for like a month and a half. Now, how is this bread that I'm not going to eat still good after like 2 months of being opened? Preservatives, stuff that's thrown into food to keep it better for longer. There's just so much of it here. It's insane. I didn't eat sliced bread very much in Japan because it's not a really common food, but if we did get it, it was probably bad in like 3 to 5 days. And a loaf of melon bread probably went bad in like 1 to 3 days. It really depends. It gets molded pretty quick. But this bag of bread right here in the US, it could be good for probably another 3 weeks. Seriously, it'll probably be like this for a very long time. When Americans go to supermarkets, they don't buy fruits and vegetables very often. They buy boxed foods the most. That's why the fruits and vegetable section in grocery stores here are just really small compared to other sections. And US Americans go shopping at supermarkets way less often because they buy a bunch of food all at once and it doesn't go bad for a long time. I know people here who go shopping for food at a supermarket maybe once, possibly twice a month.
Where you live and where you store your
in
food.
Europe or places like Japan where I grew up, you go shopping for the food that you want for the next day or two. You don't go shopping for a whole month worth of food in one go. It's very unsettling, to be honest, when you buy food in the US and it just doesn't go bad and it just stays edible, not good, but like edible for a very long time.
Alright, first of all, where are you buying your bread, sir? Anytime I buy bread, it goes bad in like a week. It doesn't last as long as he says. Do most people really buy a month's worth of food? I only buy a week's worth. And usually by Friday, I'm all out of food. I guess it depends where you get your food from. The preservatives aren't working very well with mine. I don't know what to tell you.
Wolves and ravens have started working together when hunting, and it's terrifying. Researchers have realized that wolves and ravens have developed a flawless system when it comes to filling their belly.
Oh my god. Okay, so talking about this is really weird, but my mom she used to live in Phoenix, but now she's in a northern part of Arizona, and it's right near the 420 marker, which I'm at home. But I love this place, like, ever since I was a kid. And there's always been, like, deer and elk and stuff like that, but guess what just showed up, like, last week? The fucking timber wolf? What? And so, my mom took a picture, and it was like a wolf, like, looking around the tree, staring into the yard, like, what the hell? So yeah, I think, they reintroduced the timber wolf into nature, or I believe it was North Dakota or somewhere like that. But anywho's, they go different routes. They can run for miles and miles and miles until they find a place that is good for their sanctuary. But yeah, she had a wolf looking directly at her. And I'm just like, be careful when you go on your next hike and make sure that Deets, your little pug doesn't go outside by itself, because this wolf might be waiting around for that. But seriously, wolves will eat you. I don't know, it's scary shit.
The ravens will take flight and get an aerial view on any unexpected animals or groups of animals that could be a potential meal. And then they'll go contact a pack of wolves and lead the wolves to these animals. And from there, the wolves will do what they do best and hunt down the prize. And once it's all said and done, they just split the meal. And they just keep repeating this process every time it's time to eat. That's a win-win for everybody, besides the food.
Like
and what's even crazier is wolves and ravens have gotten so close that when the ravens lead the wolves to an animal, the adult wolves will go and hunt. And the ravens will just sit back and guard or babysit the wolf's pups for them. They took the phrase work smarter, not harder to a whole new level. I'm glad I'm not an animal in that neck of the woods. Moral of the story, if you ever see a group of ravens in the wild, keep in mind, they might have some four-legged friends with them. And as always, follow for more facts.
So wolves have drones now? Yeah, for real. It's like they got their own little drones. That's crazy. Dude, I love seeing stuff like this, because it's crazy to see animals have like really high levels of intelligence. You kind of just assume they're not as smart as we think they are.
Did you see that one where the raven was talking? Oh my gosh. These guys are like the wolves of the sea. And according to some people, which I don't believe it, but they are wolves that became these killer whales. I don't quite believe it, but what would you do if that fucking thing came up almost right at your boat? I don't know. I would probably freeze. Please don't eat me.
That poor guy, it sounds like he freaking crapped his pants. It is kind of crazy to think that they've never actually attacked a person in the wild. They've only ever done that in captivity, even though they can. They can totally eat us, or mess with us at least, but they don't.
What?
A camel spider.
Is that
or a demon?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. No!
Jesus,
that
dude,
a
look how
spider
beautiful
or
it is.
an earth baby or what the fuck is I can't. Oh, it's so disgusting.
Camel spiders can run up to 10 miles per hour. That's pretty fast.
Spider,
Imagine if they were like 8 feet tall, like the size of a horse. We would be so screwed. Life would be terrifying.
Some people should not be allowed to dog breed. Bro, when I saw this picture, I swear to God, I thought it was Photoshop, but it's not.
Wait, move your head, dude.
What the hell is that? What mix is that? The dog looked like he just did a 12-hour shift at an oil rig. Bro, he even looked a little bit like the owner. Is he half the owner, half French? He looked like one of those Japanese tattoos. The similarities, like, seriously. Now, this looks like a breed I've never seen before. So is the dog more valuable because it's more unique? I mean, the dog looks like he's just tired of it. The worst part about this is the dog doesn't even know that he looks like that, which is like kind of sad. And I love dogs. I have 2 wiener dogs, but I could never do this to them. Bro, the dog just looks tired. He looks so tired. What I would think is like German Shepherd and Frenchie? I don't know. I don't. If Husky and Frenchie, I don't know. It for sure is an interesting observation, but I need you guys to comment because I can't make it up in my head what kind of breed this is.
Oh my god, the freaking dog looks so baked. Why does he look like that? Is there CPS but for like dogs? What have you done, man? This poor Frankenstein. That is so horrible, man. Well, guys, that's all I have today. Thanks for hanging out with me again. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you're awesome, and I appreciate you.
Yeah. Fuego, I believe is in Houston, Texas, or maybe it's Austin, Texas. I don't know. Maybe it's all the same. Anyways, make sure you go over to Fuego and please subscribe. This guy has really good videos, and I believe his stepfather has, like, different memorabilia and stuff from Egypt, and some really creepy things, seriously. But yeah, go to this guy, please subscribe, he's super awesome. Thank you so much, for joining me tonight, and yeah, we have a little bit of time before we get to the end of the show, but did you know? To me, I'm kind of tripped out because, the government, once more, and the government's been causing issues for a while, but recently, so remember the whole TikTok thing, and they're trying to get rid of TikTok, and it's like, unless China, which I'm pretty sure the guy that runs TikTok is from Singapore and not China, but I guess China actually has most of the stocks in it, just like they have a lot of stocks over here in the US, but, the Supreme Court and different legal peeps are trying to take away our First Amendment rights. And it's funny when you look at the document that they submitted, it's like, we shall not be in the front seat of your car and talk about how expensive food is, and how expensive your rent is, and how it's hard to live, yada, yada, yada. Like, what? This is the way of life today. The rent is way too high, it's way too low, and shit is not cool. But the government doesn't want us to talk about that and share that and let everybody know we're all struggling. We're all trying to get through this, and you just can't believe that they're trying to pass a bill. And I think it was like the H&R or whatever. I just remember seeing those letters in my head, but it's freaking insane. It's so crazy. I can't freaking believe it. Yeah, another cool way that the government is looking out for us. Can you believe it? I don't know about you, but I don't know. I just think things are really crazy these days, and it's really weird to see the government trying to pass a law like that, and how petty it is. And not only is it here in the United States, but it's in the UK. I don't know if you guys know about Kate, and she went missing around Christmas. And then it was crazy too, because her and Charles went at the same time to the hospital. Nobody saw her, but they saw Charles come out. He had cancer. There are so many different things they said she had, or what was going on. Then they tried to Photoshop a picture of her and her kids for Mother's Day. And then all of a sudden they come out and say, she's got cancer. That's why nobody's seen her. She's been in the hospital and she's getting help. I don't know. I do know that William has a bad temper, and perhaps he took it out on her on Christmas, and that's one of the times that a lot of that stuff does happen. There's another conspiracy. There's so many more, but to me, those are the two big ones. One in the UK for that, and the one here for our First Amendment rights. And we can stand up against this. Like, no way in freaking hell. Like, it starts with TikTok, and then it's like going beyond that for sure. So I don't know. I'm just kind of really perturbed, I think is the word, about our government. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, but seriously, no. This ain't working out quite as well as the government thinks. Just like UFOs and doing the whole, we're gonna desensitize this and we're gonna do this disclosure, yada yada. It's been going on forever. Since the beginning of time, like there's paintings with UFOs, there's scripts about UFOs, etc., etc. These things have been around for a long, long time. But anyways, you guys, we are at the end of our time. So I just have to say, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight on Mirror Paradox Media's Late Night Rockies. It was a pleasure hanging out with you and reading these stories from the Dreamtime. I can't believe that I found this at the Durango Library. Can you believe it? Aboriginal Legends in Durango? What? Also, thank you to all of our friends on Mirror Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies on Facebook, KPL Radio, E-Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, wherever else you're listening beyond the Omniverse. Can't wait to do it again next weekend. We got the Paranormal Forum, and then we got Storytime again on Sunday. So, hey, don't forget, We're all in this together. Together we can make the world a bit better. And together, my friends, we are Rockies Media, because without you, there's no us. Until next time, night, night, love and light, and I will see you guys back here, same time, same crazy place. So it's 7 to 10 Mountain Time and earlier for Eastern Time. No, later for Eastern Time and earlier for Pacific. And take care of my ears. Don't work too hard. And don't take